everybody, it's me, Tokkuri Yashi. We are back to have a look at the latest character release. This time it is Xmas Misora. So let's go have a look at her banner, look at her skills, and see how much of a priority she is to use our jewels to try to summon for her. So here we have Xmas Misora's banner, and it is just like Xmas Yuui. There is a special banner here as well. This one that's saying it has a 3-star rate ups. Well, it's exactly the same case as we did have with Yuui. We'll have a look over here. We can see if we go over and look at the percentages for the 10th draw, still 3% rate, just the same as draws 1 to 9. Where the rate up is this here is for characters 1 to 9 pulls, and the rate for Misora on this one is 0.7%. On the 10th pull, however, if you are lucky enough to get a 3-star there and the rates aren't any higher than normal, then the chances of you getting this Xmas Misora is 2.1%. So once again, I would say probably not worth it. Say if you've even got paid jewels for that, which you have to use, they're probably better off using other places like the banners where you get to pick 10 characters from the element and you're guaranteed one of them. And even those are a little bit risky at times. Anyway, Misora's banner is here until the 21st, a very short period for this banner. What's going to happen on the 21st? Are we in a third new character? I would probably say no. It will be returning Xmas characters on banners from the 21st. That's where, if we're getting free pulls, we will have them for old returning characters, Xmas, Kino and Siren, and getting unique equipment too on the 21st. So expect Kino to be on the banner. Siren is permanent and available in the Clan Battle shop. So that's where we're going to get our free pulls, maybe. Not on a new limited character, which is what Misora is. Unlike the Xmas EO last year, who was permanent, they gave us 2 limited characters, which is probably why they don't want to give us free pulls. Limited character here till the 21st. And she's mean to trees. Did you see that? She's knocking trees down all over the place. She's mean to trees. That is why I am not summoning for her. Out of total disgust. Well, actually, let's have a look at her skills and see actually why. Maybe I've decided there are other characters to prioritize at the moment. So here we have this little graphic of our Xmas Misora. As you can see, she is a buffer role character. Water magic sits in the rear guard. Her position is just in front of the Summer Ranfer here in position number 655, which will be relevant because she does have ranges in her passives. Her loop pattern then skill 2 first action when she enters battle. And then, well, it's not a terrible loop pattern there. Skill 2 only used once though. In how many actions is that? 4, 5, 6, 7? 1 in 7? So I guess this loop pattern could be slightly better than it is. Anyway, let's jump in and have a look in more detail at what our Xmas Misora does. Let's have a look at Misora's skills, and we will start with her Union Burst. Now we see here that she increases the magical attack power of all allies within range. That's 12,775 currently, and a 300 range. Now, all of her skills and attacks that have a range are 300. With her position at 655, that means everything backwards will be covered. All characters forward up to position 243 will also be covered, which means everyone currently on the water magic team will be underneath this radius. Even Xmas Ilya, who is right up at the front. So she's increasing magical attack power, slightly increasing the damage from crits 10%, again 300 range, dealing magical damage to all enemies 3.6 times magical attack. And then she has these tokens, Illumination Bullets, which she gets on her skill 1 and 2. We'll cover that when we get to them. But if there are she has 10 of these, you'll consume them all and slightly increase the critical damage of all allies, again within this range, 10% extra crit damage when this union base is activated if you have already consumed 40. So when you've done that 4 times, from this union base, she will inflict additional magical damage to all enemies in front of you. This time it's 4 times magical attacks, so slightly stronger than the base damage on this union base. So it's another character that's going to be building up, doing more damage the longer the fight goes on. Skill 1 here then. We can see with Misora here, she will slightly recover the hit points of all allies within range. 14,793, same range centered on Misora there. Increase magical attack power by a large amount there, that is 9,125 with a 300 range. Deals magical damage to all enemies again, this time 2.3 times magical attack. Now here's where she gets these illumination bullets. In addition then, she will obtain 3 of these illumination bullets. If the skill crits, she will get 6, so we want her to be critting. If you've consumed 40 or more of these illumination bullets through the union base, which we just covered, we will additionally increase the magical attack power of all allies within this same 300 range by 10,950. That's quite a nice extra little bit of buff there. And she will deal an additional magical damage to all enemies in front of her, this time 2.5 times the magical attack. Let's have a look then at her skill 2, which deploys a field that slightly restores the hit points of all allies. Again, centered on Misora, increases physical defense and magical defense of all allies in range there. That's 292. Slightly increase TP there by 8. That must just be TP boost by 8. Increase magical crit by an extra large amount there. So that's 180% crit rate. And restores her own TP slightly there, 100 TP to herself. So if she has this illumination bullets here, she's going to obtain 4 illumination bullets from this skill. Up to 10 can be obtained if you've already used 40 of them from the union base. Gain an additional 6 and recover her own TP by a large amount. That's 1,000 TP to Misora there. Once she's built up these illumination bullets, use 40 of them on a union base, so we'll be somewhere around about the middle of the fight. She will get this extra TP. So there we go, that is the skills for Misora. What do we think about her? I'll have a quick look where she's going to fit in the game. Well, I think I've decided to skip. So we've seen Misora's skills. Let's take a look where we think she fits in the game. Well, why are we here on Summer Rantha? We're on here on Summer Rantha because this Xmas Misora is just basically an upgraded Summer Rantha here. We can see Summer Rantha's dealing magical damage to all enemies, boosting magical attack on his skill 1 here. Again, boosting allies attack and crit. And on her skill 2, she's recovering HP and TP. There is this field of nullification that Misora doesn't have, but more or less they are the same character. We never really used this Summer Misora, even with their unique equipment. Do you think that these upgrades for Xmas Misora will put her on the team? Well, if we go over here and have a look at 810 water, this is our multiple target water magic team here. And it's done pretty well taking on 810. So if you have a lot of these characters and you can already build this team, as things stand, then this Misora is not the biggest priority. We do have a team that has been ran against this boss with this Xmas Misora in it, in place of the Summer Ninon. So if you're missing Summer Ninon, perhaps, then this Xmas Misora could run in that role. And we can see her damage as a buffing character isn't terrible, but I suspect that Summer, Ninon, and Yukino, as you can see there, will do a lot more damage than Misora, with, I would say, okay buffs for the team. It's 32,000 magical attack for all allies once she gets that 40 illumination bullets proc on her skill 1. Up until then, that's another 11,000 she won't be getting. So it will be, well, 21,000. I'm going to break quick maths. 21,000-ish for most of the battle. Then at the end, she will give extra. Well, that's a little bit like Sono does as well. So there we go. That is a quick look then at our Xmas Misora character that maybe you could consider skipping, especially if you either have all current water magical multiple target characters or you've abandoned that team completely. A lot coming up. Pre-fest at the end of the month. If you've only got one PT, save it for the pre-fest. Let me know what you think. Good luck to anyone who's going to summon for Misora. I'm Tokkuri Yashi. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again for another video. Bye.